Hello, everybody. This is Linda Martin, and I'm here with James Junkin. Hi, James.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Apparently, it's football season coming up.
4 weeks away, like a long lost friend you haven't seen in a while. Coach Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide will be taking the field. Absolutely. And so my Saturdays will be filled with football and not research.
And schoolwork and working.
No schoolwork.
All right.
No safety bites being filmed on Saturdays.
Oh my goodness. Well, we got to get some in there here then.
Right.
So you mentioned it. We're here today to film some more safety bites because people are loving these. Sponsored by Mariner Golf, of course. And you have a giveaway going on.
We do, and I'm very excited about our giveaways that we've done from the spring to the summer. A lot of books that I like that we've chosen. Like last month's giveaway was fantastic. A set of 3 books by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin that really changed how I approach my team building, how I lead, how I accept leadership. And so this month, I thought we'd return back to the safety theme to some books I think really will help practitioners. So even if you don't win, I strongly suggest to go out and to purchase these books. And the first book is entitled Human Error by James Reason. It is a foundational book for a lot of things that we do in safety today. I know Dr. Reason's writings in Human Error really changed the way I thought about safety. I was raised in the old school where we looked at the actions of the worker, Heinrich's injury triangle, and then when I got Dr. Reason's book, it started changing my mind. And from there, you have Sidney Dekker's book that built upon the works of Dr. Reason. And from these two gentlemen came probably one of my favorite books ever. Very prolific writer and deep thinker. We've already given this away, but Advanced Safety Management by Fred Manuel. And in this book, he quotes Reason and Dekker numerous times to really inform our way of thinking and the way we approach safety management, all the way down to the task level. When I read them, I'm like, this is just common sense. It wasn't common to me, but it just rung a bell, and I think it's something to be valuable for everybody's practice. Whether you agree with the principles or not, 100%, I recommend those books to you, and that's why we're giving them away.
Okay, so what James and I thought today, actually, this was James' idea, was we would talk a little bit about some of the things that these gentlemen say. We're going to start with Reason, and we're going to go from Reason, and we're going to take a couple of his quotes, and we're going to talk about what we think about Dr. Reason's thoughts. So you ready to go, James?
I'm ready.
This is from James Reason's book. The impact of top-level decisions spreads throughout the organization, shaping a distinctive corporate culture and creating error-producing factors within individual workplaces.
Wow. That is a profound sentence, and it's not many words. And that's one thing I like about Dr. Reason. He doesn't use a lot of words, but he gets to the point. And when we talk about culture, if we want to have a whole episode about what I think about safety culture, Dr. Reason really defines it right here. That it's not a safety culture separate and apart in a silo somewhere within the organization, but one that management itself creates through its decision-making processes. Mm-hmm. And in the decision-making processes that you do operationally, organizationally, conceptually, all the way down have impact to workers at the task level. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what Dr. Reason is saying here, that beware the entity and the management team that thinks safety is something the safety professionals do, because you may be creating situations through supply issues, resource issues, psychosocial issues that's kind of emerging as a topic nowadays, that create the opportunity for error in work process. I don't know. What do you think?
So, I mean, the first thing that comes up when I look at this sentence and really start to think about it is everything is a system. So if you've got a bad part of a system, that's going to introduce error. It's going to introduce things that people aren't expecting. It's and you know, by bad part of a system, I mean it's not in line with what the mission is, what the goal is for the organization. And I think that this is what this is talking about, is that when you start the system with something that is inaccurate or not defined from a management level, that it trickles down, it has a trickle down effect to what eventually ends up being an incident or an accident or whatever you want to call it at the task level. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with that. I think that without saying systems safety or safety management systems, I think that this is alluding to safety management systems, and that kind of trite saying that we always say management, safety starts at the top. I think there's much more to safety starts at the top. We all love to say it. Safety starts at the top. Management has to have commitment, blah, blah, blah. But this is more than just management commitment. This is management understanding of how safety is integrated from the very point of conception of what that organization does.
Yeah, I don't think any manager, top manager, executive or CEO, sends their people to work to get hurt, to get killed, to not be able to perform in a manner that gets things done on time and on budget. Nobody wants that. I mean, that's borders on psychopathic and criminal behaviors. You're sending people out to their desk.
Yeah.
But saying you're committed to safety is different from being actively engaged in safety. So when we say management's committed, what does that really mean? Does that mean I'm committed to a policy statement that we don't want anybody to get hurt? Or am I committed to supplying the organizational structure that we need that seeks to identify hazards and risks when we're designing work? That way we're not producing error-provoking activities within the workspace for the worker. So if you make the potential there for human error to result in disaster, human beings will find it, because we're human beings and we're all fallible, including me.
Yep.
I don't know about Nick Saban, but
so I'm the queen of analogies. Okay, so I'm going to give you an analogy here, right? Because I live in the area. Well, I used to live in the area of the Mississippi, right? Went to school on the banks of the Mississippi up in Winona, Minnesota, and the headwaters of the Mississippi are in Minnesota. Okay, and so the way that I think of this statement and of corporate commitment or management's commitment is management, that top tier, that CEO, the management team, whatever it is, right? They're the headwaters. If the headwaters aren't pure, which they most usually are, right? Headwaters from rivers and streams come from the mountains, and it's usually a very pure source of intention, you know, when it comes to like management as an analogy. And so, you know, the management is the headwaters. And if we pollute the headwaters, or we don't channel the headwaters in a way that they flow downstream in a methodical way, right? It's okay if the stream meanders, right? But the headwaters are the head of the snake, right? The head of the beast. And so those headwaters should be as pure and as focused as they can be in order to prevent future things downstream.
Right. I agree with that.
So, I mean, I know that's kind of wild and out there, but you know, I'm known for being wild and out there. And I like to think of things in this way. It's not just management, like you said, committing to a statement. It's not them signing off on that mission thing that goes in your safety management plan, right? Or your safety plan. It's not just them saying, I'm committed to safety. It's them ensuring that in the boardroom and in the senior management team and in everything that they do to set up their teams for success, all the way down to the worker, it is embedded. This culture of safety is important, along with productivity and everything else that makes the company work. that's what I've got. That's all I've got for you on that one. But I mean, I do think that we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the second one, if I may.
You may. Go ahead.
Latent conditions such as poor design, gaps in supervision, undetected manufacturing defects or maintenance failures, unworkable procedures, clumsy automation, shortfalls in training, less than adequate tools and equipment may be present for years before they combine with local circumstances and achieve failures to penetrate the system's layers of defenses.
Okay.
That kind of goes along with what you were talking about.
It's 100%, but I'm going to call you out and say, listen, I talk to James a lot. James and I are exchanging ideas constantly in our drives to work in the morning, throughout the day. And this morning you mentioned a book you were reading.
Right.
And this book, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the book, but I think that this statement in particular talks to some of what this statement is saying.
Yeah, you and I were talking this morning. I'm always reading something, and right now I'm going back and I'm reading a book called Midnight in Chernobyl. And it's a really detailed account of what actually happened in the nuclear disaster in Chernobyl. And in that disaster, like many disasters that would follow it, the initial opportunities were for management, the government, to blame the operators. When really what we found out, the operators were victims of a poor design. Mm-hmm. There were design failures within the reactor system that the Soviets were using. There was known problems with that system. A prior near miss with that system was well documented, but the information was not shared throughout the organization. And if you change that title with Chernobyl mm-hmm. and input Deepwater Horizon, you have some of the same contributing factors. If you change Deepwater Horizon and put in Challenger,
I was going to say the Challenger
disaster, BP Texas City, Bhopal, all of these major incidents really have a shared connection, And a lot of times I think, as safety professionals, we're uniquely focused on personal injuries. What I'm talking about is process safety.
Yep.
But good process safety can prevent personal injuries. But just to focus on personal injuries is not going to have the same repercussions as having good process safety. And it's all system. But when you think about why do workers do what they do? Dr. Reason was a psychologist. And everybody wants to know, why do workers do what they do? Why did they make that choice? And that's hard to define. So rather than getting into the minds of the workers and trying to determine what it is that the workers are doing and why they did that, design a system that accounts for human frailty.